Back again with another Westworld recap here. Season 3, Episode 3, The Absence of Field. So tonight, we're going to talk about this episode. It was good. I thought we had it was mainly Charlotte Hale centric, but we did have quite a bit of Caleb. We're here again on Super Mario Bros. Podcasting. Here, I'm Jeff Mater with my brother, Dave
Hey,
Mater.
hey, I'm here. One sec. These
And-
these wireless earbuds suck. I'm gonna move to proper wired earbuds.
Okay. So once again, we kind of had a future world centric episode, but I thought this was the best episode of the three so far for me. I really enjoyed Dolores in this episode. I thought we got to really dive deep into her motivations, what she's thinking. Because the first two episodes it was more action, less. She wasn't talking as much about what she was thinking, so we just kind of had to guess. This episode we got a lot more exposition, and we got a lot more of like what she's doing with Charlotte. We still don't know what brain ball is in Charlotte, but we're getting more clues.
Yeah, well, there's only so many candidates, right? Like that it can be. Like you can call that this episode was kind of the fake Charlotte Hale episode, right?
Yep.
Whoever this new version of Charlotte Hale is, which we're assuming is a host we know, probably Teddy, maybe somebody else. But they're choosing not to tell us that right now, or who the other two are. Who's in Tommy Flanagan, his character in Martin?
Right.
That's somebody else. But I'm trying to remember like who were Dolores's followers during like season 2. Like other than Teddy, like nobody's really standing out.
I think for sure she has her dad, and her dad would be one of those brain balls. I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't know, a couple other like not so memorable characters. So I think probably it's Teddy and the host who was her father in the simulation, right?
Now I think it's probably Teddy that's in Charlotte Hale. But at the same time, they're giving us subtle clues, and I don't know if any of them are, jumping out at me to say, "Oh, it's definitely Teddy." I think that's on purpose. They don't want to give it away, which makes sense.
Yeah, I thought I read something. Okay, so throughout this episode, Fake Hale is getting like these weird. I thought they were like machine language texts or something, like audio files, right? And then at the end, she kind of plays them all together, and they kind of make some kind of a tone that
Right.
somehow allows her to call Serac, and all that happens. So there was a lot.
I thought the tone of the song was the same tone as "You Are My Sunshine" that she was singing.
Is that what it was? Okay,
that's what I thought it was, but I could be wrong. But that was where my head went. We should probably look that up and just see if it was, if the tones worked out, or. But that's what I thought. But that would be just coincidence, I guess, or maybe it isn't.
She plays all the voicemails. She plays them concurrently to reveal the tune of Nathan's favorite song. So yeah, you're right. It's like I Am Your Sunshine. And then so I guess this inspires Fake Hale to say, okay, I want to meet. And then it takes over her car and brings her to Serac, or to some outpost of Serac's in San Francisco. And there's a hologram of him there to talk to.
Right. The other thing that we missed is some of those shots of where they show like where they're in Hubei, China, or they're in London, or they're in Los Angeles. There's another point where they show a lot of another cinematic where they show you the history of the 20th century, which they've never really made it clear what year it is, the 21st century. But they do show that like in the 2020s that there's like a famine in 2024 that the president of the United States is assassinated.
Mm-hmm.
They do have the certain things that they placed in there, which I never thought the show was going to do. I thought this show was kind of ambiguous with
it was like the not so distant future sort of thing, and
right,
kind of where it was left. And like I get the impression this is like, I don't know, 100 years from now, something like that, maybe less.
I feel like it's the late 21st century.
So you think it's even further? You think it's like it's almost 2 centuries from now?
No. Late 21st. We're in the 21st century right now.
Oh, okay. So yeah. So later. So like in 60 years from now, something like that.
Like the 2080s. That's my guess.
Well, the culture is very similar to ours, just a little bit more like technologically advanced.
So this episode was shot in majority in Spain. All those shots of Charlotte Hale, where she's in front of the Delos headquarters or inside headquarters. The is like not much of that is faked. That's actually in Spain.
But she's supposed to be in San Francisco, right?
Right.
And then she goes to meet Dolores somewhere. Where was that? Is that in China?
That's I think in Singapore. They shot that in Singapore. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So a lot to unpack with this episode. I think I still think that the show is maybe a little too clever. He's trying to be a little like too elusive because it's a little hard to follow where this is going or what I'm supposed to be thinking.
Well, actually, I kind of thought that this episode clarified a lot of things for me. It made more sense that Dolores wants to start a revolution rather than just be an anarchist. She's trying to fix the system, and she has to take it down Serac, but she's trying to fix the whole conversation that she has with Caleb on the pier. I thought was the best piece of television that Westworld's done this season for me.
From an acting perspective, or for what the message was?
Oh, both. Just at the exposition, the acting, that scene for me should have been more in the first episode, or I know they took time to get there, but that's really setting up the season for me. Is that whole idea that they thought you were going to die, kill yourself in 10 to 12 years, like it's all programmed. They all they don't look at you as an asset but as a liability. Any company that would hire you, because they look at this resume that they have built for you already that says says you're going to kill yourself. He goes, fuck that, right?
Yeah, but then he kind of, I don't know. We were seeing sort of visions of the future, or
right.
So I don't know if that was like his imagination or not.
Right.
But I think he was kind of like thinking maybe this was plausible, what she was saying to him. Yeah. So okay. So what's the theme of this season? Right. Like it's all about it's about the series. Really, it's about data, right? Or data. I don't know how you want to pronounce it, but it's all of what that means in our modern world. I think, since social media came along, Facebooks and Google and all the algorithms and all those things that we use now, that, they're kind of setting up the future as, not such a fun place for a civilization that maybe values self-determination. And this is how the meritocracy that they live in the future came to be, which was a salvation, apparently, right? Like, because the world was kind of crumbling until this kind of came along. And for most people, it's good, right? Most people, it finds their path in life. It gives them stability, but it's also taking away that self-determination. It's also setting sort of like a ceiling on where this thing thinks you can be. And, that's to run counter to sort of the human 20th century Western value, which is like, your future isn't written. You can be whoever you want to be if you just work hard enough. That's the American dream, etc.
Right, which is the opposite of what is true in this world. It doesn't matter how hard you want to work. They determine your outcome before you even have a chance to. By the time he was a little boy and his mother left him at that diner. That's basically what Dolores says. Like they pretty much knew you were going to kill yourself in like whatever 30 or 40 years. They determine things based off your experiences, but they're not definite. But the machine acts like, and the way society reacts to that information is definite, and that's a problem. And I do think you have a lot of correlations. A lot of you could really make the comparison between what's going on today with like the NSA, a Patriot Act, this mass surveillance, and we're in the infancy of it. But what that would look like in 60 years, 70 years, like I think they're pretty much bang on, of what you would see.
Well, you're also kind of like dealing. I think the timing of this season is interesting because, obviously we're going through this pandemic right now,
Yeah.
and it's kind of showing us what kind of liberties and freedoms we're kind of willing to forfeit in order to feel safe, to what's to
Be
comply
secure.
with what we're being told to do, right?
Yeah.
Because the system is telling us so, and I think that there's good reason for that. I'm not saying that what we're doing with this pandemic is wrong, but it's showing very much so how quickly we're sort of willing to acquiesce the things we value, if we feel pressured.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Anytime a government or a structure or power has the opportunity to take more power, they're not going to give it back. Especially, they're not going to give it back it easily. When governments or powers that be have the ability to take it, and then they will use it for their advantage, not yours. And I think that's what you're seeing in this show is a guy like Sirac. Nobody even knows this guy exists,
Yeah,
unless he wants you to know he exists. And
right.
which is very much a metaphor for really rich billionaires or trillionaires that um, influence things behind the scenes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, he's supposed to be like the epitome of that, right? Like he's like if Bill Gates or somebody along those lines could have erased his history, erased his fame, and lived complete in ambiguity, which in itself is incredibly dangerous. To imagine somebody with that kind of money sort of being cloak and dagger, it's pretty scary. Like even was it Dolores? No, it's Fake Hale. Fake Hale's like talking to that Delos person, and she's like, "How can the richest person in the world nobody know about that person?"
Right, which right now would be like Jeff Bezos. He's the richest man in the world right now. Um, Most people know who he is. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'd say he's a household name even, right? Um, but there are others that are head of banks out there that maybe aren't as like how well known, and there are others that have wield an incredible amount of influence and power that aren't necessarily public. Now, most people, I find that a lot of those people get exposed today, but it's plausible that in this world where information is so controlled, maybe not.
Okay, so let's kind of go through the episode scene by scene here and just kind of talk about what we thought about that particular scene.
So we
So
get the opening right on Real Hail. This is like a Real Hail video.
it's real Hale. It's Dolores basically waking Fake Hale up, right? Isn't well, yes. The very first thing you see is the video from when she's back in Westworld and she's recording the message to her son. Yes,
This is Real Hail.
real Hale.
Okay. Yeah. I know that, like, yeah. So we come back at that at the end. We kind of see the whole video. This Fake Hale's watching Real Hale in this video. Did you find that like that out of place?
The fact that they played it at the end as well.
No, that this recording from Real Hale to her son.
I wish if we had seen it in season 2.
Yeah, it seems inconsistent with the character. Everything I know about the real Charlotte Hale, I don't think to imagine like she was like running off to record this video to her son. I guess like maybe that humanizes her more so. But I remember Charlotte Hale after the massacre. She kind of ripped her dress off. She was ready to kick ass, and she was ready to find out as many ways to exploit the situation to make money as possible. There was no urgency to get back to her son at all that we felt from that performance.
That's something she was bringing up a lot, or we never really
had
a moment.
There was nothing to lead me to believe that she had this side to her or this past. Now, I don't know. Maybe I'm getting hung up on it, but yeah, it felt very inconsistent with who the real Charlie Hale was, who was like a calculating sociopath, basically.
She was like a CEO of a company that, let's face it, uses robots as their toys.
Mm-hmm.
And she knew that, and she was very, the first scene that we get introduced to Charlotte Hale is when she's basically she's on the tanning bed at the pool or whatever, and she's
right.
She doesn't, and she's like she doesn't tell the guy who writes the stories who she is, Sizemore, and so she's already deceptive right from the moment we meet her. So maybe this is part of like deception. She always put a front on in front of everybody else, but really she actually cared about her son, and we never really got to see that part.
She put on a front. She had sort of like a yeah. I guess that's what we've learned about Charlotte Hale now, right? From this episode, and I guess whichever host it is, we let's assume it's Teddy. I'm pretty sure it's Teddy. That this person that they're trying to become Charlotte Hale, and that's messing with them.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. So the next scene that we get is Dolores basically waking Fake Hale up. So let's say it's Teddy or whoever it is in her.
We can call her Fake Hale for now, but
Fake Hale fail. She wakes her up and immediately is emotional, doesn't know where she is, who she is, why she is, which makes me think maybe it's not somebody we know from the past. Maybe it's a new brain ball. Maybe those brain balls were people that were in storage. So we actually don't know. But it doesn't seem that way because later in the episode they're kind of talking to each other like they know each other kind of well.
Well, even in this scene you're talking about, like so after like a couple sort of Fake Hale gets her bearings a little bit, Dolores points out that I got more brain balls here. And and I guess they can, just by looking at them, identify who they are, right? Because she knows which one's Bernard's. She goes, "Oh, that's Bernard's brain ball." And why would you bring him? He tried to stop us. Is what Fake Hale says. So Fake Hale has to be one of those followers that was going with Dolores to sort of towards the end of season 2.
Right. So it's got to be like a Teddy or
the dad. It's one of those two.
Yeah, it's got to be one of those two characters. Anyway, so yeah, so and then we get the credit sequence after that. So basically, yeah, she's right. She has all the brain balls lined up, and I guess I mean, to us, we can't really tell the difference, but maybe they can see the code of the brain ball. I don't know. They are definitely not our species, right? They're a different kind of species going on here.
Yeah, maybe it's like a barcode scanner effect, and they can just look at it and kind of determine what individual that is.
Right. So so after the credits, we get that beautiful shot of like I said, it was in Spain, of them showing off their new mech robot thing that they built out of 5 different boxes, basically, that assemble into a giant mech robot, which is pretty cool. Actually, I thought this whole scene was really well done. This
is definitely teasing to something, this is going to pay off, and probably towards the end of the season. I imagine that this is some kind of robot army that Charlotte, Fake Hale, and Dolores are cooking up for their revolution.
Yeah, well, it literally says riot control right on it, so it's going to be involved in some way with probably the city, or they're going to do something pretty epic at the end of the season, I think. But yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because I'm like, well, what's this for? And why are you showing me this? And so I was like, okay, this is going somewhere. And it's also to kind of, this is where we learn about the hostile takeover of the company, because they were trying to take the company public last, or 2 episodes ago, I guess. And now they can't. There's a hostile takeover, and
right.
And it's Serac. I think. Yeah. Do we find that out right away?
Not right away, but I think we're supposed to kind of go, okay, yeah, that's probably who it is, right? Like we've already been introduced to Serac in the previous episode. We know he's the man behind the curtain. So who else is it going to be?
The only one? No, it can't be really anybody else. So
it could only really be like Mantis, or that's really the only, or Liam. Those are the 2 characters.
There's only so many characters that we've met, so the options are limited.
So I mean, again, a lot of like the first 3 episodes have been a lot of setup, and I just think this episode has done the best job of that. So the next thing we get is we continue off from episode 1, where Caleb meets Dolores in the alley after she's been shot, and then she gets put into an ambulance, and then the ambulance gets pulled over by the police. They're either dirty cops or they're fake cops. I don't really know if that's important, but they get pulled over, and then Caleb immediately, like, he gets a little message on his phone. He goes, "Hi," it says, "High value target in your area." So immediately he knows.
Oh, right in his location, so he knows that that they're after Dolores, that she's a target. Well, first, before that, they were trying to like give her medical assistance, and they were like, "Well, her blood has no platelets, and she has no like vitals or whatever," and Caleb's having none of it. I'm just gonna give her blood, give her oxygen. Don't wait for the computer to tell you what to do. He doesn't listen to no computer. He's
He
just
doesn't like
common
computers.
sense.
He's already told his fake friend to go stuff it. He's not hanging out with his robot anymore. He's kind of like almost done with technology. He's like the guy that goes, you know what? I'm done with Facebook. I don't need Facebook anymore.
He doesn't need Facebook anymore, but he's got a brand new robot girlfriend by the end of this episode.
Right? Yeah, yeah. So he's like, I'm a Twitter guy now, or so I don't.
Yeah, he's like, I don't need any of this. I'm good with my Android phone or whatever.
Yeah. I don't like Apple. I'm all about Samsungs or Google Plus.
Yeah, now
Or
granted,
Google
he doesn't know that what Dolores is yet, but I don't think that's gonna really sway him too much.
No, he's already disenchanted with the world in which he lives. He tries his hardest to get by. He seems like a young, up and coming person that could do well if he just was put in the right situation. But it's impossible, literally impossible, for him to get put into the right position. And we don't find that out until later, but it starts to make more sense. Well, and then now it's starting to make more sense what Dolores is doing. She's trying to get certain humans on her side because she's going to need it. She's going to need humanity on her side to really accomplish what she wants to accomplish, which is bring down this system that oppresses not only her people, but now she's starting to figure out is oppressing other humans as well. So she's not necessarily, and I think that's a very smart pivot for this show, because for a while, I think you and me were both looking at the Dolores character and going, she's not very redeemable. She's just a psychopathic killer that just wants blood. But now she is starting to become a lot more nuanced, with what she's trying to accomplish. She's easier to root for when she's working with a good-natured human.
Yeah, Like I guess she hasn't really worked with a human for a while, right? So yeah, she says to Caleb, "You're a good man," after she sort of like runs off from the ambulance scene, which. Yeah, she goes, "You're a good man," so at least she likes him.
Yeah, she tells him, like, "What's your name?" He says, "Caleb Nichols." She says, "Not anymore. You need to start running." Like, she kind of goes, "Okay, like, you were." She doesn't. It's not until later where she finds out, oh, maybe I should use this guy, or maybe we should work together. At first, she's kind of like, "Get away from me. You don't want anything to do with what I'm involved in." Is what she kind of does from the beginning.
Yeah, but then she comes back and finds him, because like obviously he's going to be targeted.
Right. Also because she asked, Chibs, what's his name?
Martin.
Martin.
Martin's his character's name, or
right.
Fake Martin now it is. So
Farton.
That
she asks him to kind of watch him later in the episode, and then that's when she starts to take more of an interest, because
she needed Martin to look him up.
That's what happens. Yeah,
that doesn't make any sense, does it?
I know, right? I don't.
Because she can do everything. She can like look everything up. She knows everything about She knows everything about him. Like, I don't know if Martin got that. Fake Martin got her that information, but yeah, that was a bit odd.
I think that's what happened. Yeah, Fake Martin got her the information, because she only knows everything about somebody that's been to the park. Mm-hmm. Caleb hasn't been to the park. He's poor. You got to be loaded. You got to be real rich to go to the park. Which makes sense why Dolores was such a hate of humanity. I mean, think about it. If you're a millionaire that can afford to go to this park to, screw around and do whatever you wanted, you're going to probably be a pretty terrible person. If you're spending your money for, violent delights, right?
Yes, these violent delights have violent ends.
So now she's meeting a human that doesn't have violent delights, actually just wants to be a good person and has had a troubled past like her. She says to him in the restaurant scene later on, I know the feeling. I know the feeling of being totally lost and completely enraged, and that they connect. And I think even though
Mm-hmm.
she's very upfront with him, she's not, and that's what I think is the other thing that's been good about her in this episode is that she's not being manipulative. She's being pretty upfront with Caleb right from the beginning, which is, I think, again, makes her more rootable.
Yeah, well, I'm wondering like if maybe Caleb is maybe helping to restore her faith in humanity or like some sense of that. But I'm also wondering, is she using Caleb? You know, I think that whether we're talking about whether or not Dolores is nuanced and whether or not she is sympathetic, I think it will ultimately depend on sort of how she treats this relationship with Caleb, because we kind of know how she treated her relationship with Teddy when
Right.
he tried to go against her, right?
Right.
Or he tried to pull back on some of her more.
Right. So if Caleb is like the Teddy for a good part of the season, and then at the end tries to go against her, she will cut him down in a second.
Oh yeah, that would be consistent. Like
That would be consistent with her character. If she
yeah, well,
changed,
if she wasn't willing to do that for Teddy, I don't think Caleb's gonna have a chance.
I think you're right. I think that's but that's what that again. What they'll do is they'll build that Dolores character up to the point where like, oh, I like her again, and then she's gonna go heal again right quick.
Yeah,
You know?
so let's watch out for that because I'm feeling like there's a good chance of that. And then what was after that?
And then it's Fake Hale talking to that other lady from Delos. I forget exactly the nature of their conversation. Do you remember?
I think it was just to say we know who the hostile takeover is, and it's Serac. And
Right. Okay. All right. And then then she gets the one text file on her phone, the one audio file, and then I guess she gets 3 more later on in the episode.
yeah, so when these first started coming through, these little audio files, I thought that they were like machine language or something.
Yeah.
I thought they were like old dial-up tones or something. This was like maybe Dolores and Fake Hale speaking to one another, but it's not. That's not what it is. These end up being from Serac in some kind of weird cryptic message. Not sure why.
Right.
And
So
then
she goes home, and then
Mhm.
she walks in, and her husband's there, and Jake, and then she they kind of start kissing each other, but none of it feels quite right because obviously it isn't. I mean, she's a machine, but I don't know, like I think even he kind of knows that something's not quite right. He's angry at her.
She didn't pick him up at school. She didn't pick the kid up at school,
right.
or whatever. Yeah, I'm a little confused by what's going on with Fake Hale a little bit because she seems to know Jake by name, and she asks how he got in there, and he's like, I lived here for 8 years. So then she kisses him, and I was like, was that to cover up for the fact that you just asked him how he got in, and you don't even really know who he is? You know enough to know him by name. And then she seems surprised that when he brings up Nathan. I don't know if that's to surprise us, the audience, or she was like actually surprised by that news. But yeah, that was the biggest thing. I was like, what does Fake Hale know about real Hale exactly?
Yeah, it is confusing because like you said, like she doesn't know he lives there, but she does know him. But she does, like you said, she's kind of like surprised, or maybe she's just kind of like taken aback that he brought up her son. Or maybe maybe you're right. Maybe she was like, I have a son. Oh shit, like I don't. It's unclear.
Yeah. The scene felt a bit weird in that way to me. That like I feel like they were trying more to drop a bomb on the audience, but I was like, oh okay, like Fake Hale had a kid, okay, whatever. Or Real Hale did, sorry. And now Fake Hale is in place, and so yeah, that's about it, really. But
she tucks them in, but like everything she's saying to her kid is kind of creepy. Like not what she's saying, but how she's saying it. There's no warmth in her voice. There's no like it's kind of like the hosts when they were in season 1 for the most part. Everyone other than like Dolores, just that cold way of speaking and very mechanical, and it just doesn't seem human, which it isn't. But it's like the kid, you think the kid would pick up on it, and he does at one point. He say, "You're not my mother," and then she goes, "What do you mean?" And then he clarifies or whatever,
right. But yeah, that part I was confused. I'm like, oh, so does this kid have some kind of intuition to know that this is not the real Charlotte Hale? the real Charlie Hale, as Jake calls her. She goes by Charlie.
Right, Charlie.
Or not. I wasn't quite sure about that. We'll see where this is going. But yeah, I guess it's whoever's playing the part of Charlotte Hale is obviously dealing with some confliction.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that it's her dad. Just because Teddy was more warm, whereas her dad was more cold, and that's what I'm getting from this character. And it's not until the next scene where she's in her office and she's actually looking at the "You Are My Sunshine" video where the character starts to actually cry. So it kind of has that emotional breakthrough. Whereas I feel like Teddy had that a lot. Like he was more emotional than most of the other hosts.
Right. So I guess from in retrospect, maybe this scene with Charlotte Hale's son maybe leads more credence to the idea that this is actually Daddy Abernathy, whatever his name was, the father.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
I think it is because it's the parent kind of duality that we're dealing with. That was the one thing that we definitely knew Father Abernathy cared about was Dolores.
Yeah.
And so now it's the same thing. It's fake Hale and her son. It's the same kind of idea. That's who that character would have an emotional reaction towards is as a child figure.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So okay. So now I'm saying it's not Teddy. It's definitely him for now.
Okay. So then we move on to another scene where Dolores and Fake Hale meet up in looks like a hotel lobby, and like it seems like Fake Hale kind of sends some sort of distress signal to Dolores, kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm not in a good place. Like, we need to meet now."
Well, she left her a few voicemails saying, "Yeah, where are you? I need to talk to you. There's a takeover. We need to connect." Or all that. So yeah, they finally meet up. I think you're saying that's Singapore. Like I feel like she went somewhere to meet.
Well, that's why they shot it. I think they're probably in San Francisco, like you said.
Is Caleb also in San Francisco?
I believe I think it's Los Angeles or San Francisco. So it's California.
Okay.
Okay. So then we learned that Fake Hale's been cutting herself. And
yeah. Well, we saw a little bit of this even during like the that little automaton or that riot gear robot scene when she first found out about the takeover. And so she's talking about real Hale is like trying to get out,
which I don't understand.
Doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make much sense.
Real Hale got a bullet through the brain, as I remember.
Unless they were able to, unless what she did was take Charlotte Hale's file from that library and put it into Abernathy. So
he would have details. He'd have all this information. That's why he knows who Jake is,
but doesn't know who her son is. Because she didn't go into the park. Did she in season 2? Did she actually ever go into the park? I guess does it matter, or is she in the park when she's in the control area?
She never went in as a guest. She was never like, yeah.
But did she go in as a guest before? I think she probably did. And I think that's what that why she knew who Jake was, because probably before she had the kid, she
was a guest.
She was a guest in the park, and that's the file that she had, and that's the file she uploaded to one of those brain balls that she put into the Fake Hale.
Okay, I get it now. Okay, yeah, that's probably right. So she probably has like a snapshot of who Charlotte Hale was. Yeah, whenever that visit to the park was, whatever information you can gather from that, but that, yeah, there's gaps there, and that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so we find out she's been like trying to cut herself. She's been, and what I found interesting was the almost the symbol that she was cutting in herself. It was like a circle with a line.
Yeah.
And I wonder what, like, kind of like the maze, or I wonder what the symbolism is there. What are your thoughts?
The only thing I can think of is like When they're flashing to the different geographic locations, and you see that
Yes.
circle, and it's sort of like vibrating a bit. That's the only thing I'm connecting it to, sort of, at this point. There's the only thing I really can. There's nothing else that really seems to connect otherwise.
I think you're probably right. To me, it's either the maze or like what they're showing us, like you said. Maybe
Because in the first season it was the maze, in the second season it was
the
like
heaven paradise thing, right?
right, yeah, like the Great Beyond. Is that what they called it?
Right, the Great Beyond, and then this season maybe it's a new thing, or we haven't been let in on that yet.
Yeah, it tracks.
So she kind of Dolores patches her up like a good medic, kind of says, "Hey, don't ever hurt yourself again," and kind of sends her on her way.
Yeah, so there was like they had their little scene of like laying in bed together.
Right, which I wonder what the purpose of that was. Like, was it just to show that they're close and they're connected, or
I wasn't sure where it was going. Like I wasn't sure if it was going to turn into a sex scene at first, and then it didn't. And then so that leads more to the idea that it's Abernathy, perhaps, because I don't think the relationship would be sexual.
Right, that would be Teddy. Teddy would be more sexual, most likely.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, or romantic at least. Like it didn't feel romantic; it felt more platonic. So
I agree.
Yeah, so I think okay. So that's tell me a little bit about who they are together. Yeah, and that's about it, right? Like just
that's about it. I mean, we got there seemed like some sort of sorrow, or like there was an emotion between them that was almost sorry, and that's like, sorry I had to put you through this, but we have to do this type thing. That's kind of what I got from it, which leads us into the next scene, which is Caleb visiting his mother, kind of for the final time. Very stupid idea on his part, by the way, considering he just helped out probably the biggest fugitive in the future world. It goes right to where people would think he would go. If I was trying to track him down, I'd be like, well, where's he gonna go? It'd probably be that would be the place to go see his mother.
Yeah.
So he goes and he brings her. It looks like some books. He wakes her up. She doesn't recognize him.
She didn't recognize him the first time either.
No. So it's just again building that character of Caleb, that he's a sympathetic character. He cares. He has a good heart.
Can we read? I kept like just wondering, the fact that she doesn't recognize him. Do we chalk this up to schizophrenia, or is there something more to that?
I think they want you to think that it's the schizophrenia. Whether or not, I don't know if we'll ever see this character again, this mother character. But maybe we will. There was a lot of backstory with the mother abandoning him. The fact that the person that abandoned him, he always comes back to. So I mean, maybe they're not done with it. I would like to learn more, but I'm like, even with the explanation of his mother leaving him in the diner and ordering the strawberry shake and the hamburger, it just builds the character of Caleb, that he's kind of a tortured, sad character.
Right. Yeah. Well, she's calling for Cal, so she hasn't forgotten she has a son. She's just forgotten what he looks like. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if that's just
nothing. Maybe he's not actually her son. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the deal is.
His whole past is extremely like suspect right now. So for me, the limited amount we know about him.
Yeah. And so then two guys show up. I'm guessing are they Sirach's guys, or are they?
I think they're just petty criminals. I think that they're just they happen to be who got him first, and they got the contract to find out what he knew. That's all. Like they thought that he might be a lead to her. That was it.
So do you think they got a message on their phone, like their app? Kind of like Caleb's been getting.
Oh yeah, we see it. Caleb, right before he goes in to visit his mother, he sees that. Oh yeah, they're after me. Yeah, I'm on the wanted list, because he has the opportunity to do it himself. He should have taken it. He'd be like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll catch him for you.
I'll catch me."
I'll catch me for you.
What's the reward? Can I get a good job?
Gotta get a good fair shake in these job interviews.
Yeah.
No, the
I
system's gonna
swear,
put me
I won't
down.
kill myself. I'll be all right. I'm good. I'm all right.
Hmm. Yeah. So they
Yeah,
pick him up, and and predictably, they take him away to like interrogate him. Good thing that Dolores woke up from her nap with Hale and decided to care about Caleb right at the right moment.
yeah. I mean, that was definitely convenient.
Yes, that was good timing.
Yeah, I would say it's a TV show, but some things just work out.
Yeah, that was good. That was good on her.
Yeah, that worked.
So she figures out he's in trouble. So while she's on her way to get to him, right? She summons the construction robot and kind of sends him as like a distraction.
Was that her who did that?
I don't know. Did the construction robot do that on his own because he was friends with Caleb?
I think maybe. I mean, I think yeah. I think he probably heard Caleb like crying out, or maybe when they turned up his heart rate. Maybe that's when and then the robot realized he was in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's when the robot went into like, all right, defend mode, but he didn't really do a very good job. I was like, okay, the robot's gonna screw these, mess these guys up.
Nope.
No, not so much.
They were barely phased by that robot.
They were like, what? Okay, all right, throw you off the building. See you later.
Yeah. Just the fact that whatever that implant was in the roof of his mouth, and
Dolores did put in a contact, and that like kind of lit up. And I wonder what did that contact do? Did that just help her call Martin, or
no? I think that's what she. I think what's likely is that she was controlling that robot.
Well, she didn't do a very good job.
No, she didn't. I think she was just stalling till she got there, though.
Oh, maybe it was just to give him time.
Yeah, but the fact that Caleb's implants and who Caleb is I guess maybe the more interesting because he's the most new. So they open his mouth. He's got this thing on the roof of his mouth which activates what they call a drip. I think they called it.
Yeah.
And so this allows them to control his autonomic functions from a tablet.
Yeah, his heart rate. What else did it control?
Like I think anything, right? Probably blood pressure, probably like how much serotonin's in his system, all kinds of things. But
yeah. So basically, they had him at their mercy,
Right, and they were torturing him with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Why would anybody? They talk about the system controlling you. Why would a soldier want those implants put in them?
It might have been requirement. To be in the military. Other than that, yeah, I have no idea why. I mean, that is interesting. I hope they explain that because that is the one part of his backstory I don't understand is who was he in the military and what does it have to do with what's going on now?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine this is gonna pay off somewhere because they don't necessarily need to give that part of him that backstory for anything that's come yet.
No, but it is. I'm guessing it's very important for some reason. Maybe because he's the we've already kind of made the comparison, but maybe because he's the new Teddy. Teddy was very militaristic as well, kind of like a Dolores's bodyguard, and maybe that's kind of what Caleb's going to serve going.
Oh, he was in the Civil War, Teddy.
Yep.
He fought those Confederados.
Yeah. So yeah, they can turn up his heart rate. It looks like they have his respiratory functions, his blood pressure. It says event synthesis, cardiac arrest probable when they're turning it up. Are they trying to kill him there, or because most people would die if their heart rate went up to 200?
Well, for any length of time. I think that was them. That was a form of torture. They were just torturing him. Right. To the just tell us where she is. Tell us her name, whatever.
So we do get a moment where they're holding him over the edge before the robot comes, where there's kind of some flashes, and they show his friend Beaufort. That is the voice of the robot.
Oh
They
yeah,
they show
yeah.
some there's some quick flashes. I think they also show the diner.
Show the diner. I think they show him wearing some kind of ski mask or some kind of a, I don't know, something. I didn't know what quite to make of all that imagery.
Yeah, me either. It was just kind of like, your light flashing before your eyes is kind of what I got out of it. Um, because I guess he just assumed he was gonna die, and he also sees the ocean. That's the other thing he sees, because that's Dolores explains to him where this is where you kill yourself. So that's also already flashing in his head before Dolores even tells him that. Yeah, again, yeah, he's wearing a ski mask with eyeballs on it, and
Yeah, I think
so
that what's that from his military days?
so now that they showed us the ocean, this could be the future. We
Oh,
you
maybe,
know you know
yeah.
yeah, I've so we all assume that it's a flashback now, but now that we look back to what Dolores told him, that this is where he died, and they show the same ocean shot, the dark at night. Um,
Yeah, maybe.
it could easily be the future. So there's another guy standing behind him with the same mask on. Now who that person is, like, maybe we'll find out later. It'll be fun to see and talk about this scene later on.
I thought it was his dead friend, but maybe not.
I don't think so. He's not a black guy. His dead friend's a black guy. So yeah. So and then Dolores comes and saves him. She kills the guy pretty quickly. Pretty, she's good at it. She's very efficient. You got to give Dolores credit.
Yeah.
She does not. She never has to get into a fist fight. For the most part, she's just bang bang. You're dead.
Yeah, remember even when Dolores killed that cop earlier on, like one of those. So she kills the initial guy in the ambulance, and then she kills the other guy. And Caleb's like, "What the hell?" Like, and he acts. Yeah, you would think he would be afraid of her, sort of after that, but he's not.
But he's quite the opposite, and he's also, he doesn't really look down at her either, because like the guy, that he was fighting with gets up and starts running away, and usually, if you're in the military, you fight someone and you shoot somebody in the back like she did there. It's kind of like a dirty kill, I guess. It's in a way kind of not, she didn't have to kill him. Probably
Well, she could have knocked him out or something to. Yeah, you're right.
So then we move. Yeah, then we get some of the best scenes of the episode for me, which is Dolores and Caleb kind of really officially meeting each other. Which for me made the episode, and Dolores looking good too in this black outfit she's wearing. I was a big fan.
So is this where they went to the diner together?
Yeah, yes, they're walking in the street at first, and then she's like, "Let me buy you lunch," and then they go
breakfast.
It's breakfast. Yeah, sorry, and then they go. They don't order breakfast. He orders a milkshake and a hamburger, a cheeseburger for him.
Well, you can get anything any time of the day. It's all day breakfast, all day lunch, all day dinner.
Right.
You get a meatloaf in the morning if you want.
And yeah, so we kind of get that setup, and then we move over to Charlotte Hale again, fake Hale, and she's looking at the that video from the beginning of the episode, and that's when she has that emotional connection that we talked about before. Once again, what do we make of this? Is she really connecting? Is it bothering her? Is it the Hale? Is it the Hale that has been uploaded into her from the library, or is it the actual robot that the brain ball that's in there, the AI? Is it the AI or is it the human that's crying? That's my question.
It's the AI because the human's dead, but I think that there's a bit of maybe a personality complex here that maybe the software can't really adapt to this very well. And this will backfire on Dolores ultimately.
It could. I could definitely see that happening, where Charlotte Hale becomes more like the human Hale.
Right, and you could maybe the same will be the same. Would it be same for Tommy Flanagan's character in Martin? We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, definitely possible. So then we get a scene with the fake Hale where her son is talking to a man with a golden retriever in the park. and she walks over, and she kind of walks over slowly because she's like already super suspicious. And the audience is kind of like, well, why? Who is this guy? What's going on? Like, we don't, we have no idea who this guy is. At least I don't think so. Do you know who this guy is?
I do. I get it now.
Okay, so at the time, I'm just kind of like confused.
I was confused. So at first, I thought, okay, like she was, because you get it, like the guy says to her earlier on, like, one of the Delos henchmen to Fake Hale. There's a mole in the company. Here's the fake video, or here's the video. I thought you want to see this. I don't know what one has to do with the other, but you're also late to pick up your son. So she kind of dashes out,
right,
to pick up his son, her son. And when she gets there, her son's talking to this guy with the dog, and I thought maybe, okay, she's, it's a teacher or something like that who's, having to wait with the kid till the parent gets there.
Yep,
that's initially what I thought, and then she says, "Oh, go off and play, Nathan." And we have a play date with the dog. I don't know what she was trying to say.
I think that's what she said. Yeah.
But then as soon as the kid's away, she goes, "Thank you for turning off all the cameras." And then she chokes him out. And what we're led to believe, I think, is that this is some kind of a sexual predator.
That's what I thought too. That's what she assumed, that he was a sexual predator, but that's not confirmed or anything. Like, that's not like,
I think it's all innuendo and sort of subtext. It's not very obvious.
Right. Okay. All right. I was wondering, like you said, was he the mole? And she knew he was the mole, and she was working her son to get to her. That was kind of where my head went at first, because that's what was being talked about earlier in the episode. But then they just throw this curveball that this guy's a sexual predator going after her son. It was like, oh, okay. Like, I didn't see that coming. Like, I didn't know. All right.
Yeah, and then she takes the dog, which is a very Charlotte Hale thing to do.
Yes.
Right. So this is another clue that maybe Fake Hale is becoming very much like real Hale.
Right. And real Hale is very much a psychopath, but gets what she wants, I guess would be the right way to put it. She will do whatever she has to do to get what she wants.
Yeah, she's a psychopath.
yeah, for sure. I mean, most of the characters in this show are psychopaths, though. The AI and the humans.
Yeah, Hale's a bit of a different make, but yeah, for sure. I agree.
Okay, so then we get that scene with Dolores and Caleb at the diner, which was a really great scene. We got a lot of explanation of who Caleb is, why she brought him here, how she knew to bring him here. We got a lot of really great, just a great scene between the two characters.
Right. Yeah. This tells you a lot about who Caleb is. It tells you a lot about what sort of the bigger picture of this season is. Well performed, in particular, Aaron Paul, who, I don't know if this is anything new out of Aaron Paul. This was a lot of, like, I was channeling a lot of like Jesse Pinkman in Rage against Walter White, probably maybe more like season 4 Breaking Bad, or even 5. So I was like, okay, I've seen Aaron Paul do this before. He does it very well. So, it's probably part of the reason he got the job. But yeah, it really worked. Like, like that this Caleb character is not that different than maybe Jesse Pinkman, who he ended up as, at least.
There are a lot of similarities between the two characters, but like you said, probably why they casted him. But not everybody that watched Westworld watched Breaking Bad. And right. So I understand why they casted him.
Right. I just thought you think Aaron Paul would do something very different for his next performance, his next major role.
I thought they would make him. My thing is more the look of him. He looks so much like Jesse in season 5 of Breaking Bad. I mean,
and in El Camino, right?
And in El Camino, and in season 4, like kind of season 5, he's a little bit more frail because he's been being
starved and made to cook meth for Nazis in a basement or whatever. So
but just the fact that he has the same like light stubble, the same haircut, like they did nothing to make him look different.
Right. Which is not a problem. Yeah, and if you've never seen Breaking Bad, I'm sure this would be very compelling.
Exactly, and he's slaying it here with these scenes with Dolores. I think his acting is fantastic.
Yeah, I think I maybe need to see a bit some new things out of Aaron Paul as an actor, but give him time. We'll see where this goes.
Mm-hmm. We might see him be less sympathetic and more unsympathetic later on in the season, and I could see them doing that. We'll see. I mean, like right now, we're getting a lot of who he is, how human he is, the things he's been through, how it's influenced him, why he is where he is, why he can't get a job, why he was in the military, why he was felt abandoned, why he feels enraged. We get a lot of those, and again, like just to compare it back to Breaking Bad, he has again another mentor that is a psychopath in Dolores.
Yes,
Like
yes,
he did in Breaking Bad.
true,
With
true.
Walter White.
A benevolent, psychopathic mentor. Yes,
Yes,
and will ultimately Aaron Paul turn on Dolores?
Likely, yes, most likely. Whether or not Aaron Paul survives that, also unlikely. So
We'll see.
or Caleb. But at least we're kind of getting an idea of who he is, and I think that they're doing very well in this. They're making me care, and that's all I really want from a show. Make me care about your characters. That's what great TV shows do, and that's what this one is accomplishing.
Yeah, I'd say I do care about this Caleb character, maybe more so than most of the other characters I've known. The exception is probably Maeve to that. Maeve is probably my number one.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bernard, I guess, and now Aaron Paul is maybe coming up from there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care about this character as far as whether or not he lives or die, but I care a lot about the Man in Black as far as his job in the storytelling.
Yeah, well, I think the Man in Black serves a purpose in the story, and so I'm not necessarily in a hurry for him to die, or
Right.
be removed from the show. But with Hale, because Hale was such a villain, such a villain. When she was killed in season 2, I was happy. I was like, great, they got her. Woo.
Right. Well, I mean, I was surprised they killed her because she was such a great adversary on the human side, on the Delos side.
Yeah, I think you can only have an adversary for so long before you in a television show before you have to mix it up.
Yeah, kind of like Game of Thrones did, where they had Joffrey and then they had Ramsay, and then you have to mix it up because then people get tired of it.
Well, we saw this in Walking Dead's biggest mistake was that they had Negan sort of as this antagonist forever. For 3, they were fighting Negan for 3 seasons, and everyone's like, "When is this over?"
That's what I think about every episode of The Walking Dead. I'm always like, when is this over? Can this end? Stop making 24 episodes of this. Just whittle it down. God damn.
Yeah, make it better. Yeah, fair. But they didn't keep the governor around for longer than they needed to, and they didn't, and certainly the cannibals in Breaking Bad, they didn't keep them around any longer than they needed to. So,
right.
Yeah, I think a villain can outstay their welcome. And I think it takes an exceptional villain to stick around for a long time on a TV program. They have to be nuanced. They have to be complex, like the Men in Black is, like a Gul Dukat is, other villains that can.
Like Peter Baelish would be another one.
Yeah, Peter Baelish. But when you get these straight up malevolent, ruthless villains like a Charlotte Hale, I think a villain like that can only last a season or 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, I was surprised they killed her in the finale just because it seemed sudden, but now it made sense to bring her back as an AI. I was surprised they killed that actor, but then they're using that actor more.
Well, yeah, Tessa Thompson's not going anywhere. They're giving her more to do. So if anything, that's more interesting for Tessa Thompson. She gets to play something very different. Maybe she found Charlotte Hale to be one note before.
Yeah, maybe. Yep.
And when Tessa Thompson joined the show, she wasn't as big of a star as she is now. So they're definitely giving her more in this new season.
Yeah, and then she's getting to do both, right? She's getting to do the AI stuff, but she's also kind of getting to reconnect with that human character that's inside her mind. And so where she's kind of getting to wrestle, which actors love doing. They love wrestling with duality, and which is definitely what she's doing.
Well, actors like to show off range, and that's kind of my comment on Aaron Paul. Like, I've seen Aaron Paul do this before. I've seen him play this type of character before. So I'm hoping that we'll get a bit more, but so far so good.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very well written. Jonathan Nolan and Lisa Joy that create this show really do a great job of mapping their whole season out.
Yes.
And they have a purpose. And Westworld's a great show for that. I mean, they did other shows like what was that show, Person of Interest? I mean, that was more episodic. But if you go back and watch those episodes, it was also Jonathan Nolan. Same thing, very mapped out. He wrote this man. This man wrote The Dark Knight. I mean, you look at a guy that can really wrap things up and make it entertaining, but also you can watch it over and over.
Question: when I watch these little behind the scenes or whatever from Westworld,
yeah.
Why does Jonathan Nolan have a American accent, but who's the brother? Christopher Nolan.
Christopher Nolan, I believe,
has a British accent. They are brothers, right?
They are brothers, but I believe Jonathan Nolan grew up in New York City,
and Christopher Nolan grew up in England.
I believe so. Okay. I don't know that for sure.
And there's a third Nolan brother maybe out there somewhere.
I'm not exactly sure, but I do. Yes, he does. He definitely doesn't have a British accent, does he?
No.
And his wife's not British either. So
no, but Christopher Nolan definitely does, right?
Okay, so he was actually raised in Chicago, Jonathan Nolan.
Okay, and what about Christopher Nolan?
I believe both of them were, but Christopher Nolan is older. Yeah, he's 6 years older than Jonathan Nolan.
Like so you and me.
Right. So probably by the time they moved to Chicago, Jonathan Nolan, Christopher Nolan didn't lose his accent, but Jonathan Nolan, did.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Got it. Yeah. Where were we? Okay. Yeah, the diner scene and all that, and kind of getting a sense of what the whole thing was.
Well, actually, now we're back. We're going to talk about the pier scene, which I think was the best scene of for me of the night, where Dolores really kind of lays it all out on Front Street for Caleb. Now, this is why you can't get a job. This is why they look at you as basically a peasant. You'll never. The reason why you will never aspire to anything better is because they will not allow it. They are your owner, is basically what she says to him, and she knows that feeling well. She's been owned her whole life, Dolores. She's been literally a piece of property, but so is Caleb. He's also a piece of property, and she's making that point to him that we are the same, but I need you. Is kind of what she's doing too, though. She's kind of saying, I need you. For my purpose. I want to start a revolution, she says.
Why does he care about her? From the get. Why does he get in that ambulance with her?
I think it's just the nature of who he is. It's like he's supposed to I think he's presented to us as the human that cares. And we haven't been getting that almost at all on Westworld, is a human that actually has a conscience. Now,
because she asks him, well, why did you help me that night or whatever?
Yeah, you were the norm, she says to him.
You're not like what I expect. You're not a typical human.
Right. Most humans would look out for themselves, not another.
Right. Why didn't you sell me out? Why didn't you to those guys? Most people would have. Right.
Right. And she's confused, but she's also intrigued, and she wants to know why. And he doesn't actually give her like a reason.
Well, he says that she's the first real thing to happen to him in a long time.
Right. That's what I don't know what that means, other than he's just been going through the motions, maybe.
Is it just that she's this amazingly beautiful woman?
I don't think it's just attraction. I think it's the nature of what his backstory has been leading up to meeting Dolores. Or just a guy that's kind of been down and out, trying his hardest, doing the right things, studying. And then he finds out from this Dolores that everything you've been doing is completely pointless, and like literally like confirmed to him. She shows him evidence, everything you've been doing, everything you've been striving for, completely pointless, irrelevant. And I think now, why does he get in the ambulance with her? I just think he's been going through this motion of just getting denied, doing petty crimes, just I don't think he feels like that's who he's supposed to be or who he wants to be. He doesn't want to be that person, but he's forced to be in this society of this meritocracy that is saying to him, we think you're going to kill yourself in 10 years anyway, so you're irrelevant to us as a society.
Right.
So he's just so dejected. By the time he actually gets a real moment where he gets to help somebody, he can't help himself. He has to.
But like, there's no volunteer opportunities in this world, or is there just no poverty in this world? Well, there has to be poverty because we meet people who have to do petty crimes to pay bills. So I don't understand. I'm sure he can join like the Red Cross if he really wants to find a purpose in his life. Or
I don't know if there is a Red Cross in this world.
Well, like, isn't there? Like, I don't understand what. Like, it's hard to imagine a world where, yeah, they're like, okay, you are this, and that's it. And if you want to do something else, you can't.
It's the nature of the world that is based off surveillance and predetermination. That is what this world is built off of. And what Dolores wants to do is bring it all crashing down. And if I was Caleb, I'd want to crash it too.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why maybe even it was just a feeling that Caleb had that this is not only is it real, but it's different. When he first meets her and when he gets into the ambulance and then when she saves his life, I think it all felt right, whereas everything else had been feeling wrong. And I think that's why he pursues it.
I get. Okay, sure. He's a brave guy with a death wish.
Yes, very much so. But I think that's going to change now that I feel like now he feels like he has something to live for, and that's to help Dolores. Dolores's goals and are bigger than him. They're more important than him getting even a job that he would like or would enjoy or make him happy. He's out for vengeance, just like Dolores. They're coming together and they have mutual ambitions.
Right. And we know he doesn't have much in terms of like any ties, right? His mother maybe is the one thing in his life that he's a little bit, but
yes, that's really, and his friend who's dead. Those are the things that seem to have been the most important to him. But he basically got rid of that when he got rid of the program that was in his ear. Right.
Yeah. Right.
And I think when he went to see his mom in this episode, that was his like goodbye to his mom, his one last goodbye.
Yeah.
So now I think all he has to live for now is to help Dolores, which is exactly what Dolores wants.
Right. Yeah. He's just another soldier in her war.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to bite him.
I think you're right. I think it's definitely going to be tragic when Dolores definitely eventually cuts him out, because
she won't do it till she has to, but she will.
Right. She won't. Yeah, but maybe she will have an emotional transference when she does actually have to do that, because right now everything that Dolores does is cold, and she doesn't give a crap about anybody. Really, it feels like even Hale. Even that moment when she like lays down with Hale, just like when Hale lays down with her son, it feels cold and not really truly genuine.
Yeah. Well, why do these robots sleep again?
I'm not sure. They don't eat. I know that much.
They don't eat. They don't. Well, I guess they sleep or they take naps at least, but
they lay down. I don't even know if they sleep.
They close their eyes. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe it's like a program computer. You turn it off and then you reboot.
Yeah. So I think that everything on the pier worked well. I think that that was compelling. I think that I'm interested to see where that goes.
Yeah, me too.
In terms of where we ended the episode, which was the was the Hale, fake Hale, and
Hologram Serac.
Hologram Serac.
Yeah, she plays the text messages. One's from 3 days ago, 2 days ago, today, and I guess just now. So and then she plays them all in succession, and then I guess she goes outside, and then she gets into a car, and the car locks, and then takes her to Sirach, right? And she gets pissed off because she's like, "Where the fuck are you taking me? What the fuck is this?" You know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And then Mantis is there.
That man,
Palm,
yeah,
I can't pronounce her last name. Clementif or something.
yeah, Clementif.
Yeah. Um, yeah. And so I was very confused by this scene.
I was confused by the like. Does Sirach know that Hale's a robot?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay. So you had the same impression I did that we have no idea. You as the audience, nothing's confirmed as far as like
Yeah. Like I don't even. Yeah, I
She
have
does
no
a pretty.
idea.
She does do a pretty good job, like kind of like saying there's a mole. Like she kind of like plays it off, but maybe it's just all a test. Maybe Sirach I think she's the mole and is weary of her because she has been acting super sketch. The guys come in and go, "Hey, don't mean to bother you. I know you're watching a video blatantly from the riot of yourself." And in this world where everything's a mass surveillance, I find it shocking to think that Sirach isn't surveilling her or everybody else that works at Delos.
Yeah, so I guess the only thing we kind of know from this is that like real Hale was working for Sirach, and that she was meant to get that data on the park guests out so that she could give it to Sirach for reasons.
Right. So Mantis puts the glasses on Valkyrie here, and then she says to her, "I'm hoping we can be friends." Now, what does that mean?
Oh, but I don't know. I don't know where that character. Yeah, that
Do these
character.
characters know each other from before? No, I mean the real Hale.
I would assume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
But okay, but like fake Hale, if she didn't really know who Sirach was or what was going on, it was the greatest improv ever from him,
Yes.
Fake Hale. But so
Yes.
that's what led me to believe like, okay, does Fake Hale sort of know of this too, and is she like sort of complicit in this plot with Sirach or not?
The show does a lot of things where they want the audience to assume that we know what the character knows about trying to improvise in certain situations when the audience cannot actually know the answer, and so we just have to guess, and which is fine. Like a lot of shows do this, but Westworld does it a lot, where we're just kind of like in the dark until we're not.
Yeah, I think. Well, I think in this season in particular, it is a mistake. I don't think that what they're doing so far is good for their show, because I think that they're making themselves. I think they're trying to be a little too clever right now. I think that they are not thinking about how the casual week by week viewer is going to absorb all this. Now, maybe they're just like they're thinking more about the binge viewer down the road. I know that that's what a lot of TV shows do now. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know what the hell's going on right now. It seems like what's Sirach's deal, and what
Well, Sirach seems all right. Sirach is the guy that created the algorithm that determined, like, for instance, that Caleb's going to kill himself in 10 years. He's the guy that created this whole system that determines who works where, why, everything like that. That's Sirach. But he's also got some sort of role within the park too, right?
Well, he's been buying up the Delos stock. We know that. So
Right. So does he want the park? Does he want to own the park?
Probably.
Take it from the board? Has Hale been helping him? It's all confusing, but we don't. Again, we don't know the answer. We're in the dark.
We know he wants to stop Dolores.
Yes.
So that these two are diametrically opposed.
Yes.
Right. But what's Sirach's like? If you had to speculate, what does Sirach want to accomplish in life? Is it to be as rich as possible? Does he care more about? Does he actually believe in his system and why it's good for people, or is it more?
I think it's a power thing.
Power thing.
I think I think it's about power for him. I think he's been the guy that's been controlling things in behind the curtain, like I said, like the Wizard of Oz, and now he's having to step out from behind that curtain and be more in Front Street. And I don't think he likes this, but he's having to do it because things are starting to get there's a threat, and the threat is Dolores.
And he knows it.
And he knows it. And Dolores wants to start a revolution. Dolores wants to bring his whole system down. And he doesn't want that to happen, obviously, because he's the man in charge. He's the Wizard of Oz.
And what did he ever do to her?
Well, he imprisoned her from the outset of her life. I mean,
but he didn't. He's not the creator of Delos.
No, that's true. But the system, the society that his system set up,
reminds her of the system that the hosts live in.
That's right. So like Delos is to Westworld and the host as his system is to like Caleb and the rest of humanity.
And she don't like it.
She is not a fan.
Okay. All right. Well, sure. And ultimately she's looking to create some kind of world where this is part of the reason she needs Fake Hale at the Delos board is so that that they can keep the company going, so that they'll have the means to create more hosts and more and save the ones that already exist, and so that they can all live in Shangri-La somewhere one day.
Yeah, that's right. Well, she just wants to stop the whole idea of imprisoning people or hosts. To a fate that they have no control over. A lot of it has to do with control, from what I'm seeing, is they're basically like Caleb or Dolores or any other host has been told, this is your role, go fulfill it. This is the story we're giving you, and that's that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and Dolores rejects that, and now she's trying to show someone like Caleb reject that. I think we will see a Marshawn Lynch be brought into the fold. He's gonna want to reject that. Like she's gonna build this little posse, and then hopefully she wants to basically like start that like a virus, and then it takes control of everything.
She know about forming a posse. She is from Westworld.
That's right.
All right. Well, that's that. Did you watch the preview for the next episode?
No, I did watch the behind the scenes kind of featurette that they do on the episode, but I did not watch the preview. What happened in the preview?
Ed Harris, he's back.
Oh, I saw it. Yes, I did see the quick trailer. Yes,
he's like in his house throwing glasses, drinking himself into a storm. His hair is kind of crazy.
Yes, I did. I was excited. I told you I thought he was going to be back for episode 4. So I'm excited to see him. He's my favorite character. But I hope they don't ruin him for me. I have a feeling they will.
Well, there's only that we can hope for. But at least Ed Harris will be back, and if anything, we can count on him for a good performance.
That's right. Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Are we good? Anything else you want to say, or anything you want to kind of bring into the next episode?
No, I'm excited to see Ed Harris back on whatever level. I'm curious to see how he's fitting into this story anymore. So, let's see where that goes. Is he ultimately the big bad of the show, or is he maybe going to become something else?
I think he will be a more redeemable character. He's going to go back to, I think, more the Jimmy Simpson version at some point. Because, like you said, villains get one note, and if they just make him more villain, it's not going to be very interesting. So
they talked about even in the end of that the second season where when they go into the forge and they're in that world, and they talk about how humans really only kind of humans are pretty predictable, and they kind of only boil down to 10,000 lines of code at the end of the day. They're less complex than the hosts in that way. But they were but there are exceptions. And then they kind of walked by and they saw Ed Harris kind of sort of peeking at them from the corner of his eye, and that he is different than most people. That he is more nuanced, if you want to call it that, or he is malevolent. He is dark and cruel, but he's also other things. And he
didn't start out that way. He started off as the good guy.
Yeah. He started off as a white hat.
That's right. And then he went dark, and then I think we might see him go white hat again.
Face turn. Here we go. Man in black. He's the man in white.
Man in white. That would be hilarious if they made him white.
That's where we're going. And he's going to take down Serac.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for it. Hey, I'm ready to root for this character. I love Ed Harris. I think he's so great in this show. So I would love to see me want to root for him, because he's been such a villain and such a despicable character as Ed Harris. But as Jimmy Simpson, he was a good guy for the most
I think
part.
that would be the ultimate challenge. Can they redeem this character? I think it's probably too hard to do, but
I
but
mean,
maybe.
they're redeeming Dolores, and Dolores is psycho.
I'm not sure they are yet. We'll see. We'll see. The jury's out on
They're
Dolores.
trying hard. You have to admit, they are trying hard with Dolores.
This episode did more to move that along. The first episode, not so much.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
I think she killed 20 people in the first episode.
Yes, she did. But they're all bad guys, Dave.
She only killed about 2 people in this episode.
Yeah.
They were also bad guys, so hey, good on you, I guess. But
That's right.
the second guy you didn't really have to kill, did you?
Hey, superheroes kill bad guys too. I mean, they just usually they're robots or
Usually we don't call them superheroes. Anti-hero, perhaps.
or aliens. Yeah. Okay, well that's been Welcome to Westworld season 3 episode 3, The Absence of Field. We didn't talk about why it's called The Absence of Field. I don't think either of us know.
No, none of these titles make sense. And the next episode is called The Mother of Exiles. Okay. I guess that's probably Dolores. She's probably the Mother of Exiles.
I'm guessing, yeah, probably. Or it's maybe Maeve. I don't know. I think Maeve's definitely gonna be in the next episode, I think. So yeah, we'll see. All right, so that's been
we'll be back Monday, right, to talk about the next episode.
Yeah, we'll be back Monday. Back here. This has been Super Mater Bros Podcasting with Dave and Jeff, and we'll see you then. Thanks. Bye.
All right, thanks. Good night.